Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. Welcome to a new episode of Stocks for Breakfast. Thank you so much for joining. We have a ton to talk about, so I'm going to talk really fast today. In today's video, we're actually going to go over the top stocks that meet the perfect order flow criteria and determine whether or not they're trades. We want to give everybody a lot of ideas to at least consider today. And there's one sector that is dominating the top stock list, and that's a big part of understanding reading order flow. It's one thing to be running scanners and screeners and reading news and all that kind of stuff. But eventually you get to the point where there is one dominant place where the money is flowing into, which that's what order flow means. The orders are flowing in there by the smart money. And that's where our attention should be. That's where we should be looking. We're also going to be talking about a stock that I have not traded in a while. We traded the heck out of it in 2020, kind of been all over the place in 2021. We're going to work our way over and look at the charts today and see if there's a trading opportunity. Woke up yesterday and gave amazing opportunity for day traders yesterday. We're going to see if we got some follow through for swing traders. We're also going to talk about Peloton and the stock offering and whether or not the news was already priced in and whether or not it's an opportunity to buy today. Nvidia earnings today as well. So stick around. I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today. I am very excited. We have a ton of stuff to talk about today. I just want to say hello. Hey, John, good morning. How's it going, pal? Paul Costa, so nice to have you back in the community. Really appreciate that. I think I saw LJ on the call before. LJ, I answered your question in the order flow forum. Just do me a favor and reply to that, and I'll give you a much more detailed answer, okay? Oh, something else I want to announce, too, is we're building an order flow app. Everybody's asking questions all the time about order flow and that kind of stuff, so we started to work with the developers. We're going to be posting a app soon, which is going to be kind of fun, and it's going to find end of day opportunities for the stocks that meet the perfect order flow criteria. Then you make a leap over and determine whether or not those are good trading opportunities. So obviously we want to talk about what the market's doing right now. I have to be honest with you, a pretty darn good day of trading again yesterday. Certain days are preserved capital. We got some follow through yesterday, and let's actually start out with the list of top stocks, and then we're going to make our way over into let's start out with sector rotation, go into the top stocks, talk about Peloton, and then we'll come back and look at some new ideas. Let's see, John A saying EV sector on fire. Yeah, not only the EV sector, but EV related stuff. So also the charging station stocks have been super strong. So let me actually pull some of those up on the screen. So John just mentioned the EV stocks. We want to make sure that you have a list of other ideas. And remember, just because they're in the list doesn't mean they're automatically a trade that day. Then you got to dig in a little bit deeper. Remember, you got to stack the order flow, and then you have to read the tape for the optimal entry. All right. So just to give you some ideas, EVGO, talking about charging station stocks in the context of electric vehicles. So these are the ones that are in our watch list every day. And then after the market opens, then we determine what the ideas are. So EVGO is one of them. BLNK is another one. You can see that one actually paused. And the one that we had the open swing trade on, which actually had a really nice recovery yesterday, which was ChargePoint, CHPT. So those are three main ones. I know there's some more out there, but those are the three that we watch every day. Anthony Ferguson, I just want to say good morning to you. Excellent. Grateful to have the opportunity for us to finally get in on a call the other day, and it was really nice to meet you. I'm actually looking forward to working together. Let's see who else we got here today. Anthony Shankar, actually new member of our boot camp, and he posted a trade yesterday, his first trade that he posted inside of our morning game plan meeting. And man, Anthony, you are a champion. I got to tell you, he posted the idea and we tore it apart from beginning to end. Trade management, whether it was a good idea, position size management, everything. I really got into it with Anthony yesterday. We never tell you what I think you want to hear. We went straight into it, and Anthony took the lesson like a champion. It was really awesome to see, because probably 15 minutes dissecting just his one trade yesterday. But that's what the boot camp's all about. The boot camp is about getting better. It's not about a participation trophy. We want you to actually learn, which is why we spend so much time on everybody's ideas prior to the market opening. So when you hear me every day talk about we have to head into the other game plan, that's the boot camp game plan that starts every day at 8:30. If you want to learn about the boot camp, there's a link below in the description. Just click over and see everything that's included. Something else I want to talk about today. You know how every day, like we work the charts and that kind of thing. What I'd like you to do, I'm going to start doing a regular feature of working the charts. So if you have stocks that you would like for me to work the charts on and give you kind of like a rundown of if I was using the stock myself and whether or not it's a tradable opportunity or not, leave it in the comments below the video. Say working the charts and then put the stock symbol. And I'll do a follow-up video working the charts on those stocks, and I think that would be kind of cool. And by the way, there's a lot more education below this video in the description as well. So learn about the bootcamp and go deeper into the training because there's so many other things to discover. So let's actually start out. We're going to talk about the Peloton news today and reading Peloton. Let me actually make that a little bit bigger. Peloton in reversal plans to raise $1 billion in stock offering. So essentially what they're talking about right now is they had an amazing 2020, except for the tragic accident that happened with the treadmill. But working into 2021, it's been a little bit of a different story, working our way out of the pandemic, working our way into hopefully getting outside a little bit more. So they're basically raising cash is really what it comes down to. They expanded like wildfire, which is really challenging for a company to make that decision. Do you build out new infrastructure for the existing demand, or do you just leave it alone and maybe even have some back orders because you know it's going to be a one-time thing because of the pandemic? So what's going on now is they're actually raising money because they're cash strapped. There's really no other way to put it. And we saw that with the stock. So if we take a quick look at the stock, obviously earnings came out. The numbers were not fantastic. You can see actually how we had a potential change of bottom over here, right here. And this is kind of what we mean by working the charts. But now the stock is all the way down here. However, news came out yesterday. We started to see some increased volume into Peloton yesterday. So now the question comes in is it a buyable opportunity? And we get this question all the time, whether or not, and again, post your questions. If you want me to work the charts, post them into the description, into the comments below the video, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. I don't see them if they're here in the chart. Post them in the comments below the video. But Cynthia, you're actually you're in our swing trade tracker. So post those comments into Discord and we'll take care of those. All right. So the question now is whether or not it's a buying opportunity just based on one day and whether or not it's a buying opportunity based on the increase in order flow into the stock yesterday. This is where a lot of traders have well-intentioned ideas, but they mess it up by taking too much share size too soon. Over the last year or so, we've had a few stocks that have had new stock offerings, and when they came out, the stock actually slowly melted down after that, eventually caught a bid. But generally speaking, after the stock offering, it kind of, I use the term melting because it's not really a violent move to the downside. It's just it kind of drifts a little bit lower. And then eventually they catch a bid again. This is a little bit different. We have the earnings news come out. The stock, if we go out to a little bit longer time frame, the stock has actually had a rough 2021. So the stock offering is actually coming out after the stock has been beaten up for the better part of 11 months. So it's not coming out while it's actually rallying or kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's actually getting beat up pretty good. So what we're going to be looking for here is we have now a catalyst. We have something interesting. This catalyst has caused a lot of stocks to, again, kind of just melt to the downside. But volume came into the stock yesterday in a big way. So remember how we worked Lucid chart last week? Now we're going to do the same thing with Peloton to determine if there is something to do and what is the position sizing to determine Peloton all the way down at $53 right now. Last year was 100. It was 3 times that in January. Is it an idea right now to start building a smaller position? And what does that look like for the potentiality of the stock, maybe even running back up towards $100? So you know that we start out with order flow. You know that we start out with the smallest time frames. And we are starting out with it's going down and the first sign of reversing. And that means now we're looking at the daily chart. We're looking at volume on the daily chart. Are we seeing accumulation on the daily chart? Are we seeing smart money step up and do something? So as of right now, yesterday was a news story. So it's not enough legs yet. They're not holding the bid long enough. So that's a terminology you want to use when you're looking at price charts. Remember, holding the bid means that buyers did something and came back. That's the big thing we want to look for. One day, generally speaking, especially when we have bearish order flow, long-term bearish order flow, we want to see the smart money step back in and hold the bid more than one day. So if they come back in and hold that bid for more than one day, we're like, okay, we got a little bit of feedback. Maybe we can dip our toes in with a initial position. Don't go in there with your full share size because it's still doing this. We want to put a piece on because we started to build the argument. Then if we get the feedback we're looking for, then we consider adding more. So I just want to give you the language again. So holding the bid is the first thing we talked about today. One day is not holding the bid. We need to see, do they come back today and hold the bid again? So it looks like we're set to open lower today, which is fine. Do they come in, open lower, and then start buying again and take out yesterday's high? So what we're looking for in Peloton today to even consider looking at the stock right now is we want to see if the stock goes well bid, which means that. So we're going to get a lower opening. Let me actually take that off the screen. We're going to get a lower opening. Let me zoom that out a little bit so you can see it a little bit better and move that over. That's what we're looking for. And we want it to be a green candlestick in Peloton. We want to see it go higher high, higher low, and close near the high. If it does, and that happens on bigger volume, the smart money step back in and say, maybe this is the right price based on the future cash flows because of the valuation of where it is right now. So that's the if-then scenario. If we get that on the daily chart, at least we're starting to see the stock wake up. A little bit more conservative play would be for us to see that happen on the weekly chart. So we let this week play itself out. Then next Monday, we want to see the stock well bid again, which means very simply, we get a lot of questions about, give me the visual. I'm a visual learner. This is what well bid means right here. If you're looking at these two candlesticks, higher highs, higher lows, and closing near the high. So right now we're looking to see that happen in Peloton to see, okay, is it time? Was yesterday's volume spike on top of the news an opportunity for us to say, let's start at least paying attention to Peloton? And then we do the same thing on the weekly chart. This is a daily chart. Then we look at the same thing on a weekly chart to see if, okay, 5 days went by after the news. Think about it. Did the buyers hold the bid? And if you think about it, it's just kind of common sense, right? Somebody with deep pockets, somebody with all those research analysts looks at Peloton at this price in the 50s and say, you know what? Let me take a look at the cash flows of Peloton and what that means at a $53 price level versus the $153 price level it was earlier in the year. It's a different story. So it might be more attractive. That might be why we saw the volume spike yesterday and the stock close near the highs. So I think this is going to be kind of fun for us to watch as a community together here on social media to see how it unfolds and how we discuss the trade idea over time. But the biggest thing I want to talk about here is I didn't say we're buying it today. Okay. We said, here's the scenario and the reasons for us now to consider building a game plan. This is the difference. Remember, we talk about this all the time. You have your trading game plan, and those are the stocks you're looking to trade today and this week. But then you also have a tracking journal, which is stocks that if certain things happen, you set your alarms and then you start to trade them if those things happen. That's the difference between somebody who's struggling as a chart reader, just pulling up a scan and saying, oh my gosh, it was up a lot yesterday, versus everybody on this call right now who's aspiring to be a trader. You want to be a trader, not the greatest chart reader in the world. I'm telling you right now, raise your hand. You did not open your trading account to be the world's greatest chart reader. You opened up your trading account to make money. That's why you're here with me at 7:30 in the morning, because you want to learn how to be a trader. We're looking at charts, but what we're doing is tape reading. The trader part of it is the position sizing that we just talked about. So if you remember some of the ideas that we've been talking about recently, and we'll actually go back and we'll take a look at Tilray, because it's probably a greatest example right now, is we saw that the order flow was broken to the downside. We built a position in our minds of, if this happens, then we do this, right? So it actually broke here and did not hold the bid. And that's actually a pretty good example, right? It broke the trend here, right here. So now we look, okay, does it hold the bid? It didn't. It just kind of melted right back down. Like, okay, not yet. They didn't step back up, and I'm not putting my money in. If smart money is not stepping up and holding that bid, why in the world would we put our money in that? Then we go a little bit further. It breaks out again to the level where it tried to hold the bid the first time, and this time it did hold the bid. So we initiated our first piece. So think about what we just did. We just worked the trade from a break of the downtrend, a break of the bearish order flow, which was here. The next thing we needed to see, does it hold the bid? It didn't, so we didn't do anything. Went sideways for about a week or two, maybe, about 2 weeks, and then broke this level right here, which is where it broke this downtrend. So now this is where you separate yourself from chart reader to tape reader to thinking like a trader. Traders then got to the point, which is what we discussed, that because this is the first time it's reversing, we would go in with our initial share size looking for feedback, and that feedback is a push and a pause, and then we would look to add to that position. So kind of cool to work it. And I want you to visualize, ask yourself right now, are you a chart reader? Are you reading the order flow? Or are you elevating yourself all the way up to a trader? Because a trader does all of those things, not just runs the scan. So I think if you want, take a screenshot of this Tilray chart because it's pretty cool. It actually outlines all of those things. So the other part of this now is if Tilray does not continue to hold the bid and the news stories that came out and it just starts to melt down, worst case scenario, we get out where we got in, only on a small initial piece. So we didn't make anything, didn't lose anything, and we don't have maximum risk profile because it hasn't started to push in our favor yet in a big way. So it's kind of cool. I'd strongly suggest you watch this video more than one time because there's so much more to it than just one candle. And I think that's really the big thing, okay? Let's see. Would you ever short Rivian? It's overvalued. Heck no. No. And, actually, Ruby, it's very interesting you bring that up because I think one of the most exciting parts of what we do in our boot camp and this is probably the biggest thing that most people come in. And I know we have a bunch of people in the boot camp right now that are on this call. Simon, for example. One of the things that you just saw us talk about in Tilray is we are not bottom fishing. We are waiting for confirmation. We're waiting for feedback. We're building the argument of all of the reasons we would consider being a buyer. Now, Rivian obviously just came out recently, right? So it's our job. If I could give you, Ruby, I'm speaking specifically to you right now. If we were to give you, first of all, overvalued, it was probably overvalued on the IPO. I mean, 5 days, the stock has now gone almost doubled, if not more than that. So let's put out overvalued out of the equation. Overvalued implies that you're buying the value of that company. If you want to buy the value, be the shareholder value of Rivian right now, it's probably closer down to 90. So it is way overvalued since the day it opened. So let's get that off the table. And let's bring it back into order flow. Let's bring it back into making Ruby and everybody else on this call right now smart. Make you the smart money, make you somebody who's absolutely in control of the process, put you in trades that have a very high likelihood of hitting your profit target versus moving down to your stop loss, okay? Could Rivian reverse today? Of course. Is it a great idea? Not even close. Not even close to be short selling the stock. Even if it goes down today, it is not a good idea. That's the difference between somebody who watches their account go like this every month with reliability, with predictability, than somebody who makes money, gives it back, makes money, gives it back, makes money, gives it back. And then you're banging your head against the wall saying, I don't understand what I don't understand. What you don't understand is Rivian is not a short sale. And you know that, Ruby. You know that intuitively. It's not a short sale. It could possibly go down. But here's the thing, and I use this all the time, especially when I had my trading floor in New York City. If you had your grandmother's money right now, she handed it to you, and she's like, okay, I want you to trade this money for me. Let's open an account together, and I want you to put it into only really good ideas. Don't take any chances. Just stuff that is like, wow, that's so obvious. I'm just going to piggyback because of how awesome it looks. You would not be shorting Rivian with your grandmother's money right now. That's not what trading order flow is. Trading order flow and the easier trading is when we see stocks like this and we just hop a ride. It's already going in that direction. Smart money, deep pockets are already buying the stock and we're just looking to piggyback it until we see signs of it reversing. Well, what does signs of it reversing look like? We've been talking about that in the SPY all week. We actually had a really good move to the upside. Let me actually make that a little bigger so you can take a snapshot of that. Okay, right there. Went into a box, has not changed the trend, but we're still only looking to be bullish until that changes. So, Ruby, I'm obviously exaggerating a little bit, but I'm really not, because if you're asking that question, a lot of people get to the point where they're like, well, it could possibly be reversing. Sure, it could possibly be reversing, but is that the best idea on the table today? Write that down. This is what separates somebody who's back and forth, making money, losing money, making money, losing money, because you're not asking that final question. You're not asking yourself, is it the best idea, as opposed to that might be an idea. That little subtle thing is what separates you from acting like a professional and being in complete control of the outcome versus you are hoping that the market does you a favor today. Get out of your mind that you want the market to do you a favor. There's so many easier trades with predictable follow through when you are just spotting the order flow and then reading the tape to piggyback in that direction. Ruby, I'm beating this into the ground because I used to do that when I first started trading. I'd be like, oh my gosh, the stock is up so much. If I short it now, it's got all this room to fall down. But what I wasn't doing was looking at the stocks that were already strong and just, I'll piggyback that one. I'll piggyback that one. I'll piggyback that one. If Rivian pulls back, has a little bit of profit taking, then we'll look for a spot to get long. It might even fall today, but that does not make it a good idea. I can't stress that strongly enough. All right. So we're going to jump into some other ideas. As promised, I want you to take a screenshot of this. So here, I want to pull that up for you. Take a screenshot of that. These are the stocks that match our perfect criteria today. So again, doesn't necessarily mean they're all ideas that we're trading today. These are potential ideas, but more importantly, this is the big part here. Technology, 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 technology. So you get a feel for where the smart money is actually putting money on the table right now, and us then saying, now let me go and read the tape. So remember, there's three phases. There's stacking the order flow, reading the tape, and then reversing the risk. So the last part, reversing the risk, is making sure you have the right position size based on how close you are to the optimal entry. That second part, now you have a list of stocks, but then you have to go and read the tape and see if there are ideas today. So I just want to talk about this. So now a couple of people are like, I want to make this clear, okay? You're on this at 7:30 in the morning, right? When I talk about something being a good idea versus something might happen, there's dramatically different ideas. So I don't know who you are, TWZ, Ted, and Ruby asked the question. Let's all, in the spirit of wanting to get better, not in the spirit of being right or wrong, because being right or wrong will get you in trouble. Ruby's question was about a stock that is ripping to the upside, being bought all over the place because its stock has doubled in 5 days. TWZ, Ted, I don't know who you are, but we're going to use you as an example right now because you posted in there, you put LOL. If you think that shorting a stock that's ripping to the upside is the best idea on the table today, I got news for you. It's not. It's absolutely not. It may fall down today. It may see some profit taking today, but you're not thinking it through. Is it the best idea on the table? There's a big difference between is it an idea for today versus I feel great that it's an awesome idea and I fully expect it to follow through. Big difference between the two. And until traders understand the difference between my best ideas and any idea, especially picking a top, you will never, ever be consistent. I'm telling you for a fact. I'm doing this for 21 years now. It's very hard to be picking tops and bottoms, and it's a losing game. I'll just tell you straight up. We remember one time it happened, and we forget the other 9. It's not a way to make money. It's not a way to be consistent. So I'm going to use you as an example to drill the point home for everybody. Okay? Let me see. Mark, order flow, Webull, and others give a fake order flow. There's only 4 people using the platform. Don't get confused. I don't use Webull, so I have no idea what you're talking about, Mark. Order flow, the way we do it is a proprietary method. The way I teach it using the New York method, you had to have been in my office in New York City in 2001. Webull didn't even exist back then, so I don't know how Webull does order flow. All right, let's see. Learning to only trade. That's exactly what we want to do, Deuce. Exactly what we want to do. So I want to hop over into some of these ideas and also want to show you the sector rotation for today. If you want, you could take a screenshot of this as well. So you can see consumer cyclical has actually worked its way back up to the top of the list. And technology, which we just talked about, is number 3 on the list. But what I want to talk about on the consumer cyclical side, obviously yesterday we talked about Lucid. And Lucid pre-market we discussed had earnings actually opened up higher. And if we zoom this out on a little bit of a shorter time frame, right there is the opening price in Lucid yesterday. And this is when it actually became a much better opportunity. Kind of danced around after this bullish gap. Right there was the better opportunity yesterday. So we're looking for follow-through in Lucid today. And as of right now, we're actually still getting it. Baidu actually had earnings, and you can see it's actually up $1. It was actually up a little bit more pre-market, not showing some follow-through yet. What I do want to talk about, as I promised at the beginning of the call, is a stock that we have not traded for a while, but is starting to get pretty interesting. You can see Wayfair now has this longer-term move to the downside, and the distance between what it did last year and what it's done this year. It's been a little challenging this year. However, it started to wake up yesterday. Our order flow scan started to pull it up. And you can see now after earnings, the stock is starting to wake up. So here's the thing. Remember what I said before about what we're looking at in Peloton. And we want to see from one week to the next, does order flow come back in and hold the bid? Well, if we do that a little bit deeper dive in Wayfair today, we can see what it's doing here, right? We pushed up, we paused, we pushed up again. Now we want to see if we're starting to see that unfold on the weekly chart. And we actually are. So now Wayfair has gone from there's nothing to do, all of this bearish order flow, to now Wayfair is in my tracking journal because from one week to the next week, smart money came back in. They're holding the bid. They're holding higher prices. They're paying higher prices. And now we're looking at Wayfair. The next level is probably up around the 285 level. So roughly another $18, $17 up to the next level. So now Wayfair is in my list to pay attention to see if smart money comes back in. And just to give you an idea what it looked like yesterday from a day trading perspective, that's what Wayfair looked like yesterday. So you think that that order flow was followed up? Yes, there was a push and more buying, a push and more buying, a push and more buying, and then kind of took a pause yesterday. So today we're looking to see if Wayfair is another opportunity to continue day trading, but then looking for that bid to hold, looking for potential swing trade. We also have Nvidia reporting after the close today. There's been a lot of news. Nvidia is obviously, we did a deep dive on this yesterday. Big metaverse stock, right? One of the new metaverse companies out there that are getting a lot of attention. Massive spike up 65% since the beginning of October, and now kind of pausing, and it's up $2 right now. So keep an eye on that after today. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure that I answer some questions in here. Truth Seeker, not a good idea to short a runner. I absolutely agree with you. Yep. Nvidia is coming out today. Baidu reporting. Lowe's. Oh, actually, it's still about Home Depot. Home Depot followed through yesterday too, after going sideways for about a month, and actually up a little bit more today. So this is the question: is it too late to be buying Home Depot? Yes, for a new swing trade with full share size. I do like Home Depot. However, if you go in with the smaller piece, because of how far we are from the average of what the stock normally does. So if I'm looking and talking to somebody right now about a swing trade in Home Depot after yesterday's earnings, I'd be working the position with smaller pieces because yesterday the stock was already up almost 6%. So I like the idea, but after a big move like that, it would be smaller initial share size on the entry. All right. So again, I just want to remind everybody, we're going to start a new video series called Working the Charts, where you see me go over the different trend lines, the break of the trend line, drawing the box. In the comments below the video, leave a comment of a stock you'd like to see me work the chart on, and we'll work that chart and come up with a follow-up video. Maybe I'll do it later tonight, but I'll definitely get to it this week. What I want to do is I want to try and inspire you to go into the charts just a little bit deeper and then work those charts. All right. I'm going to answer. Cynthia asked about ABT before, and ABT we've been talking about. If you were in the community with us yesterday, we actually mentioned that during the day, healthcare stocks started to perk up. And let's actually go and show you what I mean by that. This was yesterday. This is the hourly chart of the XLV, the healthcare ETF. And beginning part of the day, the first few hours of the day, we started to comment that they were rallying. And ABT pre-market yesterday, we were talking about this breakout. And now what do we need to see? We need to see follow through. We need to see them hold the bid above 129.50. So I'm still looking to be long ABT as long as it holds above 129.50. Now think about that last part I just said. I didn't say I'm going to get long, buy it, and close my eyes. I said it needs to stay above 129.50. If it does, great. We'll hang on to the trade and look for spots to add. If it breaks down and closes below 129.50, big deal. I get out and go to the next trade. It's a business expense. Make sure you go through all of those steps. It's not just buy and hope. It's buy, plan, script it out, and then prove to yourself you can follow it. There's a really big difference between being in control and knowing exactly what you want to see and then doing what you said you were going to do. So that's how we mapped that one out there pretty good. I want to mention Bitcoin because it's something that is a big story right now, obviously. After that vicious rally, we drew a box, and now we're kind of just hovering right around that 60,000 level. So right now, Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related stocks, and actually Mara, we talked about yesterday, Marathon Mining, took a massive hit yesterday, as did Riot as well. So the level, the line in the sand, right now, the right price for Bitcoin, it's got a really wide box right now, which is basically 60,000 to 68,000. We get a lot of questions about if I was trading Bitcoin and how would I be handling it right now. Well, right now, we're kind of stuck in that box after that really vicious move to the upside of bullish order flow. So because we're not obvious, because the weekly chart, remember, reading the tape on the weekly chart is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive weeks of melted candles. Melted candle means indecision because it opened and closed at basically the same spot. Because the weekly chart of Bitcoin is 5 weeks of indecision, if I was trading Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related stocks right now, or if I was talking to you in my office, because the tape is less than obvious, we would only be looking for smaller positions and cash flow until we got out of this trade. So normally we'll look for 3-to-1 risk reward or more if everything lines up perfectly. Bitcoin always has volatility, but right now the tape is a little bit less obvious. So it'd either be doing nothing, or if I find some good opportunities, it would be for cash flow trades where I'd be getting out into momentum as opposed to a push and a pause and building the position. It would be a push and a pause and getting out until it breaks out of this box, which I'll pull back on the daily chart. And maybe you might want to take a snapshot of that so you can see that. Here's the bottom of the box after this rally, and here's the top of the box. While it's in this box and all that indecision, I'm only going to be looking for cash flow trades, not looking for longer term trades. And that kind of takes me over into Mara and Riot, which are the top two that I pay attention to. They got beat up pretty good. So those are the same kind of opportunities. They are more cash flow ideas right now because of the volume, the volatility, and the catalyst, but I'm not looking for longer term plays. So I'm going to come back up now. I got to head out into my other meeting. Two things, if I could just ask, if we provided value for today, if I went at Ruby today and we talked about that trade, I hope that we're inspiring you to think a little bit deeper. I hope we're really providing some good value because I want you to know how much I appreciate that you're here with me. If we're doing a good job for you every day and you really enjoy these, please do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe so you get alerts because we're going to be coming out with that new video shortly, which is what I want to ask you to do now. Below the video, you're going to see the comment section. Type stocks into the comment section below the video and work the charts in there. And I'll go into those stocks and I'll go stock by stock. We'll work the chart and see if there's some ideas. All right. I think it'll be kind of fun for us to do this together. You post the ideas. I'll go in, I'll do the charts, and then we'll come back with a different video. So post them below this video in the comment, and I'll get to those as soon as I can. So thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Ruby, for bringing that up because I'm sure there's other people thinking about those same kind of ideas. Remember, I'm going to leave you with this. There's a big difference between the best ideas today than any idea today. Remember, that distinction is what separates you from somebody who sees your account doing this every month. If you want to learn about the boot camp, click down below. I'd love to see you on the other side. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.